Welcome back. The Buffalo comedy scene is an active but often unspoken part of our community, and I'm joined now by some documentary filmmakers who are trying to bring out the effort and put it on the forefront. Welcome, Jason and Cameron. Thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having us.
I want you to start off by telling us about Open Micer and what inspired you to make this documentary.
Well, what inspired me was I've been doing open mic comedy for about seven or 8 years now, not counting the pandemic. And, you know, like a lot of people come up to you when you do comedy, or when you tell them you do comedy, and they're like, oh, that's fascinating. And it's not, I mean, it is, it's fun, but I mean, there's a lot of work at the bottom rung of before you become famous. So I kind of wanted to highlight that and try to show what that's like at the very base level of comedy.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what your experience in comedy has been like?
I mean, it's been pretty good. I mean, the Buffalo comedy scene, art scene in general is great. I mean,
Yeah.
You've had a lot of art people and theater people. It's a very vibrant, creative community, and also very welcoming. You know, most of the time, people, when you go to your first open mic, usually people are very nice to you and welcoming. And I've had good experiences. I don't know about you. What's your experience?
Well, it's surprisingly large given the city size.
Yeah.
It is reasonably active, and there's like a lot of different venues. There's at least one for every night of the week.
And you do open mic as well?
I do not know.
No. Okay. So tell me about more about this documentary and the stories that we're going to be unfolding while watching.
Well, initially, like I said, I want to show people the process of being an open mic comic, which isn't glamour. You know, it's kind of being out every night if you really want to do it until maybe 1 o'clock at night, and then you obviously still have a day job because you're not a professional. But also, I mean, for myself, I did want to just show, like, if you're passionate about something, you should just do it. And, you know, I mean, a lot of people fail under the burden of perfection, and it's like, this is, you know, when you go to open mic, you're going to see a lot of uncrafted jokes, but I mean, that's part of the process. And I also wanted to highlight Buffalo and the great Buffalo comedy scene there is, and also maybe answer some other questions, as in like why other people, I mean, I know my motivations, but I mean, every comic story is a little different, like why they, you know, I talked to other comics in the documentary and on the scene, and it's like, why do you do comedy? What inspired you to do it? And then also other questions of like, where do you want to go? Because obviously, you don't necessarily have to be a professional comedian. You can branch off to be a writer or social media or movies. And then eventually, I also tried to answer this question with a documentary. I'm not sure if I did, but I mean, eventually you probably will have to leave Buffalo. And then like, what's that? Like, where should you go? New York City or any other larger city, and like how that would help your career.
Did you learn anything you weren't expecting to while making this film?
Well, I learned that we're not good at documentary making initially.
It's a very difficult thing to just kind of wing. I started making it just kind of like on a whim.
Okay.
Because I wanted to, and we ended up linking up through Facebook. And we had a lot of false starts. So there was, we weren't really sure what the direction was, and then COVID happened, and that kind of forced an interesting direction, because we're exploring what it's like to be an open mic comic in the context of COVID is just slowing down now.
Yeah.
So the whole scene is kind of facing a reset. And you see a lot of people just starting out in the documentary, and you also see people just not coming back to it.
Interesting. Very. Okay. What is one thing that you want the viewers and audience members to take away from the film or understand about the comedy scene?
One, I would definitely, they should come out and support local comedy. You know, it's like eat local, laugh local, I say.
I like that.
And also, yeah, I mean, you won't see a perfect night, but it's like you might see someone, you know, it's like Buffalo's kind of like a big music town.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, they come out for music, but I feel like a lot of times they don't come out for comedy because, I mean, sometimes, you know, it's not polished, but that's comedy, and you know, you should appreciate all the nuances of seeing live performances.
What was one of the most striking stories that someone told you about how they got into comedy or why they wanted to start?
Well, the through line with comics are usually, I mean, we do I mean, not necessarily had bad childhoods, but maybe just weren't loved the way we wanted to be loved, like attention-wise. So, I mean, a lot of people start that way, or they just want more attention, but usually those people drop off. But, I mean, for me, and other comics, I feel like it's the challenge, because comedy is the hardest art form to achieve it, because you write one song and all of a sudden you're like you can, even if you're a one-hit wonder, you kind of live off of that, or you make one good movie, you're kind of set in Hollywood, but you tell one good joke, that's just the start.
Yeah.
I mean, and now that there's Twitter, everyone can make jokes, so it's for me, it would be the challenge of just trying to achieve lots of good jokes and get to that point of being able to just talk for an hour and have people laugh.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing more about this documentary. Viewers, if you would like to learn more about Open Micer and the screening, you can go on October 13th by visiting lakeeffectcomedy.com. Thanks again for coming in, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Congrats.